Many don't know about the secret to the law of attraction. You ever wonder why certain people who are rich seem to attract more wealth, fame, finances than others? There's a little known secret, or maybe it's widely known, but very few practice its laws and its tenets. Very few know how to apply these rules and laws and tenets to their life to get the maximum value that will bring to them esteem, glory, and esteem results. In fact, rules are so simple, it just slips in between the cracks. Many of us think, well, if I knew those rules, of course I'd be playing by them. And yet, it's something so common that you do know the rules. You might even play by them from time to time. And those rules are simply this: the grass that is watered the most will become greenest. Now, if you apply that same theology to your life and thoughts, patterns, what you think about the most will become the greenest. If you dread something happening to you, if you fear something the most, it's typically that will exactly come upon you. And if you think about something so fearfully, so dreadfully, so terrifying, it will be that come upon you. The thing that you fear the most will come upon you. If you think about something of good news, of good stature, of good report, if you think of something of good fortune, good news, of good report, well, that will come upon you as well. You say, well, why wouldn't people just do this? It's quite simple. They don't know that it works. We don't know that it works, because if we did, we would do this over and over and over. And then there's this little thing called emotions. Oh yes, emotions, feelings. Well, see, they tend to get in the way. See, emotions and feelings are reactive thinking. They're not something that we're doing when we're in control of a situation. It's something we're doing when we're reacting to a situation that is out of our control or was in our control, but we've lost it because we weren't prepared for this. Your emotions, your feeling. This is why they say learning to master your emotions, your feelings, will bring you to self-mastery, will bring you to the level up sooner than you could ever dream, imagine, or think of. When you learn to master your emotions and your feelings, you're not acting from a state of reaction, we're acting from a state of action and response. Yes. Response versus reaction. Response versus reaction. When you react to a thing, it's based off of emotions, it's based off of feelings, it's based off of the circumstances. It's because you had no choice, it's because you didn't think it through, it's just because how you feel, it's just what came to mind at the moment. It may not even be instinctual. Maybe it is instinctual. Sometimes following our instincts may not be the best thing. Other times following our instincts may be the best thing that we could ever do. There are those few times or times when following our instincts is not the best move. Well, how do we know this? You have to work on it. Work on yourself. Know your weaknesses. Know your strengths. You know an area that you're not as strong in, and a particular subject comes up or circumstances arises, which is within that wheelhouse that you're not as strong. Simply put, it's in that wheelhouse where you're weak. It's one of your weaknesses. This you'll know to automatically pull back your response. Pull back your reaction. Because you know, since this is an area where I'm weak, where I'm not as strong, I'm not going to react in a way that is beneficial to me. In fact, whatever comes to my mind, I don't have any control of, because this is an area of weakness for me. Knowing that little bit about yourself, having that small conversation about yourself, with yourself, to yourself, will make all the difference in the world. You might be at the job in a career situation. A coworker says something to you that maybe it's to do with politics, and maybe you're not too deep into politics, but you know there's a reason why you're not too deep into politics, because when you bring up politics, it makes you feel so emotional. And so for your better good, you've learned to stay away from politics. Not because you don't have an opinion, but because you know that something about the topic of politics stirs up an emotion in you that leads you to feel angry. It leads you to react rather than respond. But now that you've ascended and you've had these conversations with yourself, you've enlightened yourself, you brought yourself to a higher state of being, you know that when politics do come up, you shut down that automatic response, that instinctive response in all of us. You shut that down and you keep that to yourself. So when somebody brings up a topic that might be triggerific, it might trigger you. It might trigger you to respond. It might trigger that weak side of you, that instinctual need to respond and give your opinion, put someone else in their place. While at the same time putting them in your place, you've shown your hand. You've shown your weakness. And this is just with the conversation with the coworker. You see how knowing yourself and teaching yourself the difference between reaction and response, knowing your weakness, knowing your strengths, will better suit you, will better equip you with tactics and strategies on how to move and how to not put yourself in harm's way. So when you do come upon an area which is foreign to you, you train yourself to not just react and say what comes to mind, but think, pause. And at the very minimum, you have strategies and tactics. You even develop a cough. Excuse me. And you feel yourself elevated. You didn't have something in your throat, but you, excuse me. And then you practice this in the mirror so many times. You watch yourself do this. Minutes, a couple minutes a day, times a couple months of doing this. And now you've mastered the art of when you cough to yourself twice. You trained yourself to bring yourself back to earth and regather yourself and remember, this area is not familiar to me, or this area will expose me. Instinctually, my instincts have taken over. That topic that individual brought up made me more reactive rather than responsive because I was not prepared for this. Heck, you might be in the middle of a job interview, or somebody might be critiquing your work as an artist, a songwriter, or a painter, a playwright. They said something that offended your work and your opinion, yet all they were providing was constructive criticism. You started to say something right away, instinctually, to defend your artwork, to defend your creation, your hard work, your passion. Excuse me. No, go ahead and proceed. I'm actually interested in what you have to say. Caught yourself. Rather than rambling, going on and on about how they don't know what they're talking about. And yet, they're maybe not the $1 billion signer of checks, but they're one person separated. They're 1 degree separated from the one who is. And they're the gatekeeper. You never known that. And you would never discover this until it's too late. Or until it's after the fact. And because you did your cough. You didn't react, but you responded. Excuse me, sorry. Go ahead, please proceed. I'm very interested in what you have to say. I love your feedback, by the way. As while in the back of your mind, they're tearing your creation apart. But something told you. It wasn't that instinct, but it was something else. Something said, shut up, shut up, shut up. It was something, that's why you practice this. You think of Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, when no one else is in the gym and they're just shooting a shot and they're working on this one move over and over and over again. To only have used it one time, but they used it that one time that mattered the most, that put them over the top, won the game, that won the series, that put them in position to be in the playoffs, and they wind up winning the championship that year. And this is that moment for you. Yet, the first time you done this move wasn't when you were face to face with that person. You worked on this. You worked on not reacting, but responding. And now the opportunity comes because that cough you developed as a strategic strategy. Excuse me. Catching yourself, stopping yourself from reacting, being so instinctive, emotional, and feeling, even though inside you're raging and you want to jump on them for disrespecting your creation, your artwork, your life's work. You relax. And you stuck with the plan. Because even though this was not within your expectations, you were prepared. You were prepared. That is the difference. And that's what you will do now.